video, right? And it was a good video. I enjoyed it. You know, they put 10 of what they feel the worst signings in Europe. And I agreed with most of them. You know, Kolarov, Pjanic, Josh King, terrible signing. But the one thing I thought was very harsh is like, look, I don't really support any of the clubs on this list, right? But they put Fabio Silva on. Now, I'm no Wolves expert, and I think a lot of the comments agreed. You know, I put my comment in here, and you know, some of people agreed. Shout out to these guys. But the two things that they said is he's not a useful alternative to Raul Jimenez, and that his performances will be forgotten, which I kind of took umbrage with a bit. So, first of all, if you go on Transfermarkt, yes, they overpaid. I completely acknowledge that, but his value's already going up. Like, it's on the rise, like 22 mil. So even if they sell him now, and Transfermarkt's generally underpriced, so it's not like they've lost money, and he's so young that they haven't really depreciated in value. And like when they signed him, he was about 10 mil, and then it went up obviously because they paid the fee, right? But you know, I saw this Transfermarkt team, for example, and it had what they value as most best young players in Europe in every position in terms of teenagers, and Fabio Silva's there. So even just to ignore that, but even if you just look at his base numbers, right? Yes, I acknowledge he's come off the bench a lot, but against tired defences. But Wolves are terrible. We'll get onto that in a minute. But he's played 1,000 minutes, 4 goals and an assist, and he's only having a shot per game. And yes, he's not good in the air. I fully acknowledge that, like Raul Jimenez or Willian Jose are. But 5 goal contributions in 1,000 minutes, it's simple maths. You know, it's a goal contribution every 250 minutes in a terrible Wolves team for an 18-year-old. I think that's okay. And like if you look at Wolves, like 19 goals from open play. If you look at just the Wolves squad in general, this and just filter it by goals here, like Pedro Neto and Ruben Neves are the top goal scorers. Pedro Neto is a kid himself, and Ruben Neves most of those penalties. Jimenez has been out for most of the season, so they lack goals anyway. Adam's got 1, Daniel Potence's got 3. You know, this isn't a team that are necessarily, you know, fluent, and they've thrown an 18-year-old kid in there, and I think he's done pretty well. You know, look, they're a pretty mid-table team, but if you look at their goals, I'm sure they're pretty low down. So, Jesus Christ, they're the 15th worst team in terms of goals scored, and they're not. It's not like they're underperforming their XG in the same way that Brighton are. They are a little bit, but not by much. And I think if you look at Fabio Silva's stats, right, and I've compared them to Raul Jimenez here, and this is over the last 365 days. So I get Raul Jimenez having an injury, but this will only take into account stats before he was injured, you know? Because one of the things they said in the video is he's not a useful alternative. I get that Jimenez has been injured, so technically he's not been an alternative, but what I assume they're getting with that is he's not good enough to be a backup to Jimenez, or at least I assume that's what they're saying. Now, if you compare some of like his basic stats, so non-penalty goals, 0.27 for Fabio Silva, 0.35 for Raul Jimenez. That's not that different. Jimenez 2.4 shots. Fabio's at 3. So he's having more shots, and this is a worse Wolves side that Fabio Silva's playing in. And look, I'm not saying he's better than Raul Jimenez, by the way. I'm just making the point that I don't think he's that far off that he should be put in a 10 worst signings list. If you look at his pass completion, 74.2. Raul Jimenez again 73.4. These are very similar statistics, and again Fabio Silva for me is in a worse team, and he's got no experience at the top level. You know, his progressive pass is 2.2 for Raul Jimenez, Fabio Silva 1.1. So he's not as creative as a force of Raul Jimenez, and he's nowhere near as good in the air. But look, pressures as well. You know, Fabio Silva, you can't knock his work ethic. You know, 10.9 for Raul Jimenez to 16.18 for Fabio Silva. So I think it's look, I get why people would disagree with the Fabio Silva signing, and I get why whoever wrote this script put him in there, but I just think it's incredibly harsh to say his performances will be forgotten when this is a guy who, you know, not many teenagers are scoring the amount of goals this guy's getting, especially in a terrible team in Europe's top 5, you know. And I think that transfer market value will just rise, and I think this Fabio Silva and the Wolves scouts will look at this and go, you know what, this is an okay season. You know, if Raul Jimenez was fit the whole season and you'd offered him 5 goal contributions, especially in quite a bad Wolves team, I think he would have taken that, man. So yeah, let me know what you think, but I think this was just a bit harsh from the FD boys. But you know, I enjoyed the video, but I look at these numbers and I think, you know what, this is the start of a promising career. Look, Fabio Silva might not become an incredible striker.
he might just become a £35 million striker. But I think all his let me get them up really quick. All these numbers to me suggest that he'll at least turn out to be a useful Premier League striker, and most importantly, a useful alternative. I think that's exactly what they've got in him. He's a very similar profile of striker, just 12 years younger than Raul Jimenez. So yeah, subscribe, like the video, and peace.